right, creatures of the night, welcome to episode 92 of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. My name is Alex Dorio, and I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, by my wrestling buddy, the Hellraiser himself, Mr. Travis White. Travis, are you ready to head down the highway to hell to Hell in a Cell, No Mercy, 2002? It's going to be a barn burner, a bloodbath.
The cell and the hell and the what did JR say? The hell, the match in the cell, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm ready to go, man. The Hellraiser, Pinhead himself, right here. Member of the RTC. I think Steve Richards has a dark match on this pay-per-view. So anyway,
you would know.
I would know. Anyway, yeah, man, I'm ready to go. This is I think, underrated Hell in a Cell, man. Like watching it back, had a blast. I can't wait to talk about it. We're gonna talk about some cool stuff in this build-up, and some not cool stuff again in this build-up.
Tale of two storylines here, and we'll get into that. There's a jam-packed episode here, and parental advisory on this episode. It's gonna get messy.
It's gonna get messy. Yeah, this is our first pay-per-view with a TVMA warning on it. So.
And well-earned.
Oh, yeah.
It's gruesome.
Oh, yeah. And not for the HLA that was last month or anything like that. Or the, commitment ceremony or anything. Not for anything like that.
No,
People dressing in drag for something else. Way more manly and macho.
Well, speaking of which, man, why don't you get us started here as we take that time-traveling motorcycle all the way back to September of 2002 to the night after Unforgiven, where we left off with Undertaker and Brock Lesnar in a disputed finish after their undisputed championship match. Ends in a no contest with Brock Lesnar retaining the title since Undertaker could not beat him, but ending up on the losing end as he goes flying through the set of Unforgiven. And man, you would think that this episode of SmackDown, picking up right after this pay-per-view, would begin with like a recap video of that intense World Wrestling Entertainment Championship match and this big controversial finish. But, my friend, it does not begin with that.
What does it begin with?
Oh, it begins with a video recap of that HLA segment with Bischoff and Stephanie and the quote-unquote world's largest lesbo. A.K.A. Rikishi in drag.
Okay, talk about Tale of Two Cities. Bischoff's surprise that night, which apparently our boy Randy Turco was at that episode.
That's incredible.
He put it on. Yeah, how did?
It's the greatest lineup of events he's ever been at.
I know, he does. Okay, so put that surprise and the makeup and the prosthetic job they did for him. And then when Rikishi walked out, Unforgiven, it was a dead ringer for this Rikishi in drag. It was not even, there was no contest as to what that was. So yeah, this episode, SmackDown 162, September 26, 02, opens up with that instead of...
No mention of the title
match. Not at all. But when the show gets started, we do see that we're going to get Taker versus Matt Hardy tonight for probably, the third or fourth time in that many weeks.
It's the hottest rivalry going, baby.
It is, man. It is. Now, people talk about nowadays in 2019 with the brand split, we get the same matches over and over again. I didn't realize how prominent it was back then. A lot of these guys are going to be the same matches over and over again. But for some reason, I didn't care back then because the matches were awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there was also storylines back then to go along with the matches. So
exactly.
It makes sense
Something
for Taker
progresses each time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of progressing, Funaki has really progressed into SmackDown's #1 announcer for sure here. And he's going to ask the hard-hitting questions to Brock Lesnar. He's knocking on his door backstage. And Brock comes out and messes up his hair like he's his little brother, and it's like, oh, hey, little buddy. And Funaki's like, is it true that you will not give The Undertaker a rematch for the WWE Championship? And Brock says, that's a question everybody wants to know since Sunday, and I'm going to answer that question in the ring tonight. So Funaki is just on, cloud nine. He's going to get the scoop. He's going to be out in the ring.
Investigative journalist, Funaki.
Yeah, he's putting Michael Cole to shame.
Seriously.
Seriously. So
he's putting Mark Lloyd, burying him 6 feet under.
Yeah. If Funaki's your #1 announcer, you're a distant number 2. Mark
Think
Lloyd.
about that though, for real though. They hired this guy Mark Lloyd, this professional announcer, and he's so bad that they're using a Japanese guy who doesn't speak English to be the backstage interviewer instead. It started as a joke, but they're like, actually, he's actually better than Mark Lloyd.
Yeah, when you're second to the non-English speaking Japanese corner for backstage interviews, that's pretty bad, Mark. So maybe that's why I've just, like I said, just
blocked him out.
So anyway, later on, Funaki comes down to the ring for this interview, and he is holding a prop with him. He's got that chair that Taker bent around Brock's head on Sunday, and it is the same chair. I mean, it is bent just with Brock's face crushed in it. So it's crazy. And he introduces Brock and Heyman. They come out, and Funaki shows him the chair. Like, here you go. And Brock takes it. He and Heyman kind of look at it, and then Brock just slams it down on the ground like a petulant child. Backs Funaki into the corner. But then Funaki, because, he's a wrestler, he decides to slap Brock Lesnar across the face.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. And then Brock Lesnar is going to do something that I used to do to my wrestling dummies and just throw them around like a rag doll across the ring. This looks so painful and so unprofessional, but I'm sure it's done well, and Funaki knows what he's doing, but dude, Brock is picking him up by the seat of his pants, like literally by the waistband of his pants, slamming him around, ramming him in the corner, suplexing him literally 3/4 of the way across the ring, just throwing him, and then he ends it with a sick F5, and then, like I said, grabs Funaki by the seat of his jorts and just throws him out of the ring. Like,
dude, you and I have always dreamed about being professional wrestlers, but as I was watching this, I was thinking, maybe it's pretty for the best that I never got into the ring, because that's probably the role I would have been in at the size we are.
Yeah,
it did not look fun.
Yeah, well, remember when we did actually try the backyard wrestling? This is the role I played in that one match I had with those guys.
Yes, exactly.
I was the squashed bug. So, yeah, you're right, man. This makes it look like, it's a good thing I didn't go down this route for my life. So, yeah. Well, I also want to say to go out of your way to watch this episode. Just Eddie Guerrero and Edge are going to steal the night, the week, the month. I mean, standing ovation from the crowd here, and I know you and I both have our notes. Just a star-making performance from both these guys. It is incredible, and I remember this match like it was the night I saw it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think they actually put it on the DVD for this No Mercy pay-per-view. It was like a bonus feature on there, just because it was that good, and people talked about it so much, and they didn't always put bonus stuff like that on there, so that was really cool to have on there. It was that good.
That's awesome. Well, another thing that was just that good is this promo for No Mercy 2002. It's like Halloween, and people are coming up to a door for trick or treat, and it's Pete Rose's house.
He's back.
Yeah,
Hall of Famer.
How
about it?
At the end,
he doesn't
Kane
say
comes.
that in there, sadly.
No, he does not. But at the end, Kane comes, and I guess he goozles him or so. I don't remember. But it was just a fantastic commercial back then. So, well, later on, we get Matt Hardy, showing Shannon Moore his match from last week against the Hurricane. He's like, I made the Hurricane run away to Raw, which, again, he just switched to Raw this past Monday, apparently. So didn't we just mention how in storyline mode they said that the contracts were frozen or something?
It's the wild card, bro.
Okay. Wild card. Well, he says,
who else but Matt Hardy, version 1, founder of Mattitude, could make The Undertaker run away the last 2 times I was in the ring with him?
Yeah, but Matt, I think it had a little more to do with Brock Lesnar than it had to do with you.
Brock Lesnar? You think Brock Lesnar had something to do with that? Huh. Well, I'll tell you what. You sit right here, Mr. Fancy Pants, in this chair, and you watch this monitor, and you watch what I do to The Undertaker in my matchup next. And we'll see if Brock Lesnar has anything to do with Matt Hardy defeating The Undertaker again.
Matt basically takes offense and is like, you just stay back here and watch and learn. So this is his little MFer, which he's not called that yet, but his little Mattitude follower. So MFer, which of course 16-year-old us was like, so funny.
Are we Funaki?
Yes, we were ragdoll like Funaki. Okay. We laughed like Funaki. Yeah, you didn't know that? Indeed.
There you go.
Well, Matt leaves and head to the ring, and then we see Brock just, like, come out of a corner like he's stalking him or something. And it is what it is. And then I do want to mention this. It didn't really play along to the storyline here, but there's a promo for a press conference where they announce Safeco Field as the home of WrestleMania 19, and Taker's up there on the podium, and he says, come see us that night, because that night I'll be 11-0 at WrestleMania. So thought that was pretty neat.
A little confidence there from the Taker.
Confidence, man. So, but Taker rides out for his match with Matt Hardy version 1, and he's ready to take care of business. And Matt starts off with a handshake, trying to handshake the Undertaker here, going back to those couple months of respect, something that Chris Nowinski couldn't get from Taker. And he does pretty much the same thing he did with Chris Nowinski, and choke slams him, and it's a last ride and forearms over the bridge of Matt's nose for the win. Pretty quick win.
Yeah.
It's not a squash or anything, but it's a short match. But as soon as the bell rings, like, the match is over, Brock is in the ring. I don't know if he teleported or what he did, or if he was under the ring. I don't know. He
booked it out there. He's
immediately in the ring and nails Taker with the title, the WWE title, and Taker is bleeding.
Cue up the blood tracker, man. We're going to need it for this episode. It's number one.
Yeah, cue up the tracker and just go ahead and grab some buckets for a transfusion, because we're going to need...
Call up the Red Cross, because we got a donation coming their way.
Yeah, we do. So, well, Taker's bleeding here, and Brock is hitting him in the head while Taker's on his knees, and Brock smirks, and Taker's writhing in pain there, and Brock and Heyman back up the ramp, and during the break, we see that during the break, Taker's stumbling to get on his feet, and his face at this point is what I thought was covered in blood. It doesn't hold a candle to what we see later.
Right.
Up to this point, it's covered in blood.
Yeah, it's the cut he had from last night. It's busted open really quickly, and it's a gusher.
It is. It's like I said, with perspective, it's a gusher up to this point. So we'll see much worse than this in Hell in a Cell. But he's kind of falling up the ramp. The crowd's cheering him on, but he is gonna basically have to sit on the floor all bloody while the medics try to tend to him. So he's struggling. But the announcers talk about how we've never seen Undertaker quite like this, which is an overused expression for sure. But during this build, we're gonna kind of see Taker at his most vulnerable. Not psychologically like Kane did and Mankind and stuff and Paul Bearer, but like literally physically vulnerable during this. So
yeah, it really actually kind of holds true at this point.
Yeah.
The only other times are maybe when he's kind of lost those casket matches, been carried out, or when the urn's been taken away and that power's been taken away. But as far as realism and blood pouring down and like not being able to stand up, we really haven't seen that kind of selling from him at this point. So it is interesting. And next week on SmackDown, episode 163 on October 3rd. I don't know if interesting is the right word, man. This episode opens with the most overproduced video I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not trying to exaggerate here, but Stephanie is like running down the card for tonight, announcing, introducing us to SmackDown, and it's supposed to be like really cool and futuristic, but to me it actually just came off like really goofy, and like someone had just figured out how to use all their editing tools on a Mac or something. It's like,
I'm Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon. And you're watching SmackDown. SmackDown.
It's the Undertaker. Undertaker. Dad man walking. That's the whole video.
It's like an MTV promo from '84.
Exactly. But Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy.
But you know what, dude? It was different. I'll give him that. It was different.
Different's not always good.
But she basically told you, here's what's coming up on the card tonight, which I do appreciate that. But yeah, you're right. It was neat in a different way. Maybe not necessarily all the good things, but it was peculiar.
It was too much for me.
It was a lot. Yes, it was definitely a lot. But I do applaud now that it was something different to set it apart from Raw.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. We'll leave it there.
The effort. I like the effort. I like the effort.
Fair enough. It is going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match between Matt Hardy and Undertaker as this feud escalates to another level.
They're the best of 5 series. Or
Basically. They really are, man. They're facing every week. I'm glad you pointed that out. Backstage, we see Brock and Heyman. They're reviewing some tape from Brock's beatdown. That was another thing we saw a lot back then. These guys watching their matches back on the VCR. I like it. Lesnar's all like
they were reviewing tape, like Scotch or like Duck or.
I would watch
Electrical.
Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar do that, though. It'd still be entertaining. Well, Lesnar, he's really excited about this footage of him beating up Undertaker, but Heyman is not so much. He's kind of warning Lesnar, like, Stephanie, she's demanding that there's going to be a rematch between you and Taker at No Mercy, and she's going to make it a stipulation match, but she won't tell them what sort of stipulation match that it is quite yet. And so, while they're talking about that, Matt Hardy busts in and says, well, it's not going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match at No Mercy, because there's not going to be anything left of Undertaker after their Falls Count Anywhere match tonight. And then Taz, it's kind of, I don't know what he's trying to get at here. He says, that's a great name for the match, bro, because Matt Hardy, he might fall somewhere during this match. Falls Count Anywhere, you know.
What does that mean?
Falls Count Anywhere. He might fall somewhere. Nothing. I got nothing for you. Well, Undertaker rides out for this matchup, Falls Count Anywhere, and he just dominates Matt Hardy here. He beats him all around ringside, into the crowd, just destroying him. But Matt Hardy, he creates a little separation. He grabs a drink from somebody and throws it at Undertaker. And then they head backstage. So then we get, if you're playing on the video game, you get a loading screen here for about 30 seconds as we go to the new area. But they go backstage. Matt's trying to ambush Undertaker, but doesn't really work. Undertaker continues to just toss him around and he's telling Matt Hardy, "You deserve this." Matt tries to run away and. He yells out at Taker, "We'll meet again!" He's like,
shot off the side of the head. Show Matt Hardy no mercy. We'll meet again, Taker. We'll meet again. Meet again.
Broken Matt Hardy, little shades of that in there. He tries to climb up the wall to get out of the arena, but it doesn't work. The door's locked. So he climbs up a fence in the area back there, and while he's climbing, Undertaker's all distracted, and Brock Lesnar, again, he just runs up out of nowhere and sneaks up on Undertaker, gives him a devastating F5 onto a bunch of bags of popcorn.
I couldn't tell if this was popcorn or like
it was popcorn, I'm pretty sure.
It's like when the theater closes after midnight and they like have to take all the popcorn to the dumpster. They just all laid it on this pallet next to this chain link fence. It's like,
man,
I got an idea.
Thumbtacks, glass, explosives.
Mick
Foley never fell into popcorn.
It's like Steve Austin tells that story about how he and I think it was he and Owen Hart were fighting, and Owen would hit him with a bag of popcorn just to try to get him to laugh and stuff. Yeah, that's what this reminded me of. Like an F5. Oh no!
Well,
Jiffy Pop.
I don't know if Undertaker's allergic to it or what, but it's enough for Matt Hardy to jump in and steal the pinfall and get a 1-2-3 over the Undertaker, which is more than his brother was able to do. You know.
He went to a grueling ladder match. Turns out all he had to do was just knock him on a piece of popcorn.
Get the extra butter on there. Well, Brock is not finished with Undertaker, you would think, after that devastation. But he grabs a propane tank, like he's Hank Hill, and runs in and decides to smash it on the Undertaker's hand. As Undertaker is up against this chain link fence, smashes the tank on his hand, and we hear Undertaker just screaming in agony like we've never heard him before, writhing in pain. He's making noises we've never heard Undertaker make. It's devastating here. And we come back from commercial, and they're showing it from different angles and slow motion, and we see the trainers assisting Undertaker, putting ice on his hand, and that unfortunately Mark the Mark Lloyd runs in, and why would you try to interview this man at a time such as this?
Yeah.
But Undertaker storms off. So Mark Lloyd asks the trainer what's going on, and he says, well, Undertaker's hand looks broken. We're going to try to talk him into getting some x-rays done tonight, but he doesn't want to go to the hospital.
He exits out that locked door that Matt Hardy couldn't get out of. Somebody has unlocked it in the meantime.
He's got Undertaker powers.
Yeah. But no, it was, like you said, him writhing in pain. And like literally, we haven't seen him in this much pain and storyline-wise yet. You know, like, we really haven't. Like, he's really doing a good job selling it, you know, because he's more realistic now. So it's really neat to see that vulnerability of him here.
Well, Matt Hardy is not vulnerable. He's excited about this because he once again busts into Heyman and Lesnar's locker room, and he's bragging about his big victory over the Undertaker and saying, well, since Undertaker's so badly injured, he probably can't compete at No Mercy. And Matt Hardy's like, I defeated the number one contender, so I should be the number one contender. Logical.
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman's just like, yeah, man, you're absolutely right. You need to go talk to Stephanie about this tonight. As Matt walks out, Brock is just kind of smirking, and Paul kind of laughs and is like,
I'd be very careful. He'd kill you.
and then Brock just laughs it off and gives the death stare to Matt Hardy. So, I don't know, man. Looks like the main event for No Mercy could be in jeopardy here.
It does look like that.
Well, the story finally ends tonight as we do find out what's going to happen with this main event at No Mercy. Brock and Heyman are about to leave the arena, and Stephanie stops them and gives them the update that the Undertaker's hand is officially broken. X-rays have come in, which happened pretty quickly here. I don't know how you managed to get to the hospital and get the X-ray results back. But
I used to work an X-ray for your dad, by the way, and I can tell you right now, it's hard to get an X-ray back that quick.
Well, if the Undertaker's screaming at you, you might get it done.
Maybe so.
But he has already insisted on that he's going to compete at No Mercy against Lesnar, and Lesnar and Heyman kind of laugh it off like, okay, big deal. What kind of match is it going to be? One arm tied behind the back, or maybe a thumb wrestling match, perhaps? Which, can we say, I need to see a thumb wrestling match between Undertaker and Lesnar.
Yeah. Today, in Saudi Arabia. Instead of Goldberg.
If anybody could pull it off, it'd be those two guys.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they do arm wrestling matches all the time. Why have we never seen a thumb wrestling contest in WWE?
Hell no.
Someone's got to do that.
Someone should. That's
R-Truth, maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
But, oh no, not going to be any of those matches, as Stephanie just kind of is waiting for these two idiots to shut up, and she tells them, it's going to be hell in the cell. And Paul Heyman is
just like your dad.
Exactly. Paul Heyman is obviously mortified about this, but Brock, he's actually seems kind of okay with it. He's kind of got a little smirk on his face and doesn't show any fear about it. But man, I'm sure I was excited to hear that back in the day. Hell in a Cell, this was only going to be the 5th or 6th one of these matches ever, and just the prospect of these two guys going at it sounded pretty exciting. You knew you were getting something big with Hell in a Cell back then. Yeah.
The last one in May with Jericho and Triple H was great. That was a fun one, different. And this one, you knew it was going to be good because there's Taker in it again. It's kind of his signature match. So,
and that was an interesting point that they had just had one a few months ago. So this was, I guess, there were probably some people that were kind of like, "Wow, can't believe they're going to this well yet again with Hell in a Cell," because it had been more protected than that. We hadn't seen one in a long time before that.
Little do they know that there'll eventually be a pay-per-view where they just do all the matches in one.
Not quite there yet.
Yeah, they don't build up to the Hell in a Cell. They just say, here's Hell in a Cell because we're having one. So,
but yeah.
it's October. But it is weird how this is October as well, which is where the first Hell in a Cell in 97 was in October as well. Again,
that's true.
We talked about the parallels between this build-up and the Shawn and Undertaker stuff, how it ended at Ground Zero, how last month ended, how we're going to Hell in a Cell here. It's October. It's not lost on me anymore at this point. It was before last week, but now I do see it's a straight parallel between that. So
they're telling the same story where they couldn't control it in the ring and couldn't control them outside the ring, so they got to shove them in this demonic creation to try to settle the score.
Yeah, well, things are going to take a left turn here because things are going to slightly veer off this episode of SmackDown from that copy and paste from 5 years ago. So we get SmackDown 164.
Yeah, we get a big insert after the copy and paste.
Yeah.
Someone mixed their two scripts together here. Cut and paste from the wrong script into this.
Exactly. Well, SmackDown 164 is October 10th of 2002, and it opens with another one of those crazy videos like you talked about, and we get a recap shot of last week, and now Taker's doing his infamous, wait in the parking lot and look for my rival,
It's his trademark, man.
Yeah, exactly. Get ready for him to arrive, but he's got a huge cast on his right arm that says "No Pain" on it. It's got written letters in it's like something you and I would have made from our backyard wrestling match. It's
so cheesy, but I love that.
But you know what's even cheesier? Did you notice that from here on out, whenever they show one of the fighting videos of him in his matches, it's like him, it's like the live action and then it pauses. All they did was just superimpose a white cast over his hand. It's the same video. Go back and watch it.
Yeah,
it's like him
graphic.
doing his little fighting stance, but it's just a little floating like someone poorly superimposed it on there. Yeah, it's terrible. But
they would do that with the belts too. When anybody would win a championship, it was so terribly done.
Fake, yeah. Well, anyway, Matt Hardy comes down for a promo, and he says, things are great for me right now, and he gloats about single-handedly beating Taker in a Falls Count Anywhere match last week, and he shows footage where Brock's assistance is left out of it, which is just classic heel stuff. It's perfect. And he says that Taker's in the parking lot because he's afraid of Matt Hardy, and we just see Taker making his way to the arena on the way to the ring because he's got the loudspeaker on right there. I don't know how he knows what's happening.
He's got Bluetooth.
Yeah, he must have.
But dude, this camera shot was incredible. It was really well done because Matt Hardy's gloating this entire time he's talking, and his back's to the Tron. But the Tron, we see Undertaker coming in the arena, so everyone in the arena sees it, and Matt's got his back to it the whole time. I really appreciated how they shot it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was very well shot. Production was great there. So yeah, he doesn't see him coming, making his way through the arena, and then Matt's ranting about how he needs to stop and Taker. Or I'm sorry, he finally does see that he's coming, and he comes out, and Matt's like, you need to stop, but Taker comes out and he attacks him. As he gets in the ring, Matt Hardy attacks him with a microphone and slams the broken handle on the turnbuckle. But then Super Taker shrugs it all off like he's prone to do and takes Matt on the outside. And again, he's just making the Hardy Boys one of his little whipping boys here. And he uses that cast as a weapon, started punching Matt Hardy with it, which if I just broke my hand a week ago, I'm not punching somebody with it. I've never broken my hand, but I probably won't punch someone with it. So. Dude,
yes. I have broken both of my wrists, both from wrestling incidents, both with my dad at a younger age. So I have had cast on both my arms, and yes, there's no way, especially a week after I broke it, I would want to punch somebody with it because it's still broken. It still hurts like crap, and I will say Undertaker does still sell it. I mean, he still acts like it hurts and every time he uses it, but good grief, man. I can't imagine nailing somebody with that cast at that point in time. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. It would have been nuts, man. I would have been on the floor writhing in pain. So, well, Taker also headbutts Matt, and Matt is busted open, so he's bloodied up someone else now here, and he's bloodied him up with the cast. Yep. So the refs come out, and Taker, of course, scares him off, and they can't take him down. So he and Matt brawl some more and go into the ring and then back out of the ring. And eventually Matt hits him with the chair, and Super Taker hits the chair into Matt Hardy's head with a cast. So Taker punches a chair into Matt Hardy's head with a broken hand.
Ow!
This is some Hulk Hogan 1988 stuff right here, man. So, he's just super hulking up, man. But he goes to hit Matt, and Matt's against the ring post, and Matt ducks, and then this is where Taker finally just breaks the straw that breaks the camel's back here, and he just starts writhing in pain. He's punched it, against the ring post, and Matt's got blood on his face, and he's escaping to the back. And I just wrote in my notes that I thought that was pretty cool start to the show. It's a pretty fun thing, but it went on a little bit too long, man. The same thing could have been accomplished with like a minute and a half, 2 minutes cut off of it. I just thought personally. So
yeah, I mean, I liked it though. I liked how it went on because I liked that Matt Hardy. He kept fighting through the whole team. This was not Undertaker just beating up Matt Hardy with nothing.
Sure.
Like Matt Hardy kept getting up, or he kept like finding a way to get out of it, and Matt Hardy left standing. At the end. Like Undertaker got the better of him for sure, but as the heel that Matt Hardy is, he managed to end up walking out sort of victorious and sort of still standing, even though Undertaker did it to himself. And so I liked that. You know, it helped both guys here, and I appreciated that. Like Matt Hardy, to me, during this time, as I was watching this, it kind of reminded me of Sami Zayn nowadays because. Like, Matt Hardy was a guy you would think, how's Matt Hardy going to be a heel? Like, he's such a baby face. Like, you never heard him. You could not picture him as a heel, but somehow he's perfect at it. And I feel like Sami Zayn's the same way. Like, if you had told me 2 years ago, Sami Zayn cannot be a heel, man. He's just, like, eternal baby face. But somehow he's actually really great as a heel. And he's pulling it off really well. Yeah, maybe better. So I think it's cool to see that comparison. And I could see where this segment might be a little long, but I like the storytelling through it. And they're obviously trying to get over the news story of Undertaker's hand being severely injured and putting that match into jeopardy.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, too, we see him backstage. I think it's Rikishi's coming out, and then there's a trainer checking on Undertaker who's just, like I said, we keep saying writhing in pain. I need to figure out a new word for writhing in pain, but that's what's going on. He's just rolling around. Yeah. Yeah, and so... too bad because it says no pain on his cast, but I guess no pain, no gain. But apparently that didn't work out for him, so he's in pain. So the trainer recommends more X-rays and see if he broke his hand in a different place, and Taker eventually agrees. And but it's his own fault for that. He brought it on himself. He's punching chairs and punching ring posts and punching anyone. Just use left hand. Just use your left hand. That's
Not
all
too
you had
smart.
to do.
Yeah.
Just switch. But later on, we're going to see Brock and Paul Heyman and a very special guest who is some mystery girl walking through the parking lot.
No.
Yeah. So Heyman tells this jabroni production guy he's like, make sure the way to the ring is clear, which I don't know what that means. They're like people laying in I don't know, but
popcorn.
Popcorn all over the place. I don't know, but Taz and Michael Cole don't know who she is, but they're like, we're sure she's not with Paul Heyman. So, again, Taz is just always dogging on him. So, well, Matt Hardy then has a Desire video set to his theme song, which is just neat because it's a tongue-in-cheek, you know, it's a parody of the other one. So, but it's fantastic because it's Matt Hardy and it's that awesome song, and it's just him talking about how awesome he is and his attitude and all this stuff like that. So
it's really well done, though. I completely. I don't know if I've ever seen it. I don't remember it at all.
Oh, it was great, and it's funny because it's like literally nothing from his Hardy Boys time. It's only from his time on SmackDown now. As he's become.
It's him pinning the Undertaker after getting completely beat. They don't show him getting beat up. It's just him pinning Undertaker.
Yeah, it's great. Well, then Brock, Heyman, and as Taz says, some tomato come out. So I don't know if it's appropriate to call women tomatoes in 2019, but this is 2002, and I'm quoting. So
I don't know if it's a compliment or a put down.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
So, well, Heyman says Taker is nursing his broken hand in the back, and he's questioning Taker's desire to enter Hell in a Cell with Brock for the title, and asks what kind of man Undertaker is, and says that, I'm not qualified to answer that question, but Tracy is very qualified to answer that. So, yeah. Now, we've mentioned Dick Tracy several times on this podcast, and this is not him. I would have loved to have seen Dick Tracy here, but this is this Tracy.
Oh, I'm trying really hard not to make jokes, Travis. Why would you say that?
I was going to throw you a softball. Well, Tracy gets on the mic, and she starts to speak. And as she starts to speak, we hear dead man walking, and then terrifying lyrics. And then Taker comes out to the ring, and Brock and Heyman immediately bail as Taker gets in the ring, which I don't know, is what it is. But maybe Heyman shouldn't be bailing at this point. I mean, not Heyman. Maybe Brock shouldn't be. But anyway, so it's just Tracy and Taker in the ring. And she begins to basically lay into some allegations here that Taker, or at Taker, she says, "What are you going to do? Hit me now? How could you? How could you, Mark?
How could you, Mark? For 3 months, you have lied to me and slept with me? And now I find out you're married? And your wife is pregnant? You're a bastard!"
I never even cared that you were the Undertaker. I never even watched wrestling." Which
Good advertisement for your product.
yeah, great, exactly. She says, I even promised that I wouldn't make our relationship public, and I'm just sorry that for Sarah that she has to find out this way. And she says that Taker, Mark lied to me just like you lied to Sarah just like you're lying to me. And then Taker just rips the mic out of her hand, and he says, "Listen, lady, I have no idea who you are." which is awesome.
Great, yeah.
Yeah. And then she just slaps him across the face, and he doesn't like that at all.
No.
But she leaves.
But he does not choke her like he did Sable back in 1999.
Right, he doesn't, but he looks puzzled. He looks like, I don't know, like your pet dog, if you whistle just quickly and they don't just kind of see where the whistle comes from. He's kind of like looking puzzled as she leaves. So I hated this from the second it began in 2002 because it was no longer #blame Sarah. Now it's #blame Tracy. And I think that after this night, the wheels just come off the storyline. They don't know where it's headed because we're going to see it begin. And, we'll get to it. I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who haven't seen it, but it's something else. Because at this point, Taker says, "Listen, lady, I have no idea who you are." Remember that.
Remember that.
Our babyface here is saying he has no idea who this woman is.
Dude,
so
the crowd is completely confused by it at this show as well. It gets no reaction or response. They're doing too much, man. Yet again, just like with last month, this storyline is perfectly great. You've upped the ante with the cast being on Undertaker's hand, giving it that extra layer of wounding him and giving him an extra obstacle to compete against, and it's really physical and it's really well done. You've still got the Matt Hardy stuff in there, so you've already got a ton of stuff going on in this storyline to take it to the next level. And then again, just like last month, it takes this stupid soap opera turn.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because they're on network television, like they gotta feel like they gotta add this level to it because it's on UPN or something. But
it could be.
It's also because you point out in your notes that this is the same week that they're doing the Katie Vick storyline on Raw. So I don't even know.
So it could be worse.
It could be, but that's tells you exactly where the company's mindset is. Like they feel like they have to add those sort of storylines to think. They really, really wanted to add that type of quote unquote realism to it, outside of the ring backstory stuff, and it does not work. It never, the crowd, it always dies for stuff like that. We don't want to see that in wrestling.
No, we don't. Like I said, bless his heart, Taker's little brother Kane has been accused of murdering someone and sleeping with her after she was dead, and at least Taker's accusations are up to a live person, I guess.
Exactly. Yes. At least he did not commit a crime of some sort.
Yeah. But anyway, later on we see Brock Heyman and Tracy run into Stephanie backstage, and Stephanie tells her that they can't leave since Brock's got a match tonight. She says that Brock is going to replace Jamie Noble in the tag team title tournament. He's going to be Tajiri's partner.
Suitable replacement.
Yeah. Well, we always say here, if something goes wrong for a shoot and, like a superstar goes down, a wrestler, you got to replace him with somebody bigger and better,
Yeah.
So if your big star Jamie Noble goes down, you got to replace him with Brock Lesnar, the champion. So, but what a fun little match that was. But Heyman disagrees that Brock's going to be in that match, but Steph's like, no, it's going to happen. So she's been castrating authority figures since day one. So Didn't just start with Kurt Angle, started back then. So, but she does say Taker's banned from ringside since the tag team title tournament is so important to SmackDown. So if he interferes, he forfeits his WWE title shot at No Mercy. So there at least are some stakes here.
Yes.
You know, I do appreciate that. We talked about that a long time ago. Just stakes are important. Makes you pay attention and see, you know, is he going to give up his shot because he wants to get in there? And, you know, it helps you do that. Well, then backstage, Taker's on the phone talking to Sarah and says, you know, this is all just mind games from Brock and from Heyman, and trying to explain that they're just making stuff up. And she apparently hangs up on him, and he's pacing around and cursing. And you pointed out here in your notes that SmackDown was actually taped on a Tuesday. So how
does she know?
Does she get a live feed of it to her house?
She's watching the
as they're
satellite.
taping it. Yeah. So, I don't know, man.
It was really confusing.
Yeah, and then Heyman is giving Brock tips about how to avoid Edge Mysterio tonight, and then Brock's like, give me your phone. I need to make a call. And then he apparently calls Sarah, so he's got her phone number
How does
in
he
memory.
Yes.
He's
what a
memorized
creep.
Sarah's phone number. Yeah. Even DDP didn't do that.
Oh, maybe he got it from DDP.
Yeah, that's true. He could have. So he calls her and says, you know, I'm sorry what you had to go through tonight. And he's like,
Hey, how you doing? Just calling to see if you're okay. I mean, the stress you must be under right now. To witness that on live television. I cannot believe it. What do you mean you don't know who this is? You gotta be kidding me, right? I'm really offended. What? It's Brock Lesnar. And I'm so glad that we could spend another moment like this together. Sarah. You called Sarah?
when he hangs up the phone, Heyman's like, cannot believe that Brock just had the, you know, stones to call Sarah. You know, he's like, what a big, like, you know, he's kind of impressed by it, I think. But kind of like, what just happened? So, again, this is supposed to be live television. It was taped 2 nights ago, so I don't know. Anyway.
It's all so silly, man.
Whatever.
Again, yep. All the stupidity could have been avoided.
Yeah. Well, the fun little main event, Brock and Tajiri for probably the first and last time ever tag team against Edge and Mysterio. And in a really neat little opening here, Brock and Edge start together, and Brock's kind of getting in, or Edge is kind of getting in Brock's head because he's kind of resilient. He's kind of taking everything Brock's dishing out and mocking Brock's taunts and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. And I don't know that they ever got to really go have a one-on-one like feud, you know?
Well, they fought at this Rebellion pay-per-view that I don't remember if it took place before this show or after this show. I'm trying to look at. So it took place after
November, right?
No Mercy. No, October 26th. They had a handicap match in the main event with Lesnar and Heyman against Edge. So I guess they were probably fighting on some of the house shows around this time, and they didn't quite get like an official like you know a American pay-per-view run, but they did. I remember they had that match on the Rebellion paper because I had that DVD.
Yep, I remember watching that at your house. Yeah.
But Taker's not on that one, so we're not going to be covering that show.
Yeah, but it was just neat and to think about what could have been if they actually had like a real run.
More, for sure.
Yeah. But it was neat here. Fun stuff. Tajiri accidentally kicks Brock, and Ray and Edge double team Brock and kick him out of the ring, and then finish Tajiri off. So anyway, then afterward, Brock annihilates Edge and Mysterio, and then gives Tajiri, his tag team partner, an F5 for good measure. So, and then gives Ray another one, and then Taker runs down, and Cole again's like, "Here comes the emotional freight train." Exactly. Trying to get that name over, and Taker nails Brock with his cast, and Lesnar and Heyman escape to the back as SmackDown goes off the air, and Taker's music plays like he's standing tall at the end here, but again, he's the emotional freight train and just rolling in and out of town here. So,
if you cut out this affair stuff, it's a great freaking storyline, man.
Oh yeah,
and it's same thing here as the Go Home Show, SmackDown episode 165 from October 17th, 2002. Undertaker is going to be in the locker room. He's requested some time to, set the record straight about the events from last week. And he's going to talk straight into the camera here. He says, last week he was accused by this woman of being a cheater. And when that happened, he lied.
I do know her. But I mean, look, I knew a lot of women like her back then. See, that was years ago. It was a long time ago. Years before I ever met my wife, Sarah. So to say I was surprised last week when I got to SmackDown and here's this woman accusing me of being a cheater, surprise would be an understatement.
So in the moment, I made a judgment call and lied about things. This is our babyface hero.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm like, you're not supposed to do that. You know, as a babyface. I really think they rewrote crap after that last week. I think that he was supposed to not know her, and then they decided to, like Vince does, and just change his last minute. I think they decided to change because it's going to get even stupider when we get to No Mercy pay-per-view itself.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they're trying to, quote unquote, give these guys layers to their character, because like they're doing the same thing with Kane. Like,
yeah, Kane
did not come up like a babyface in the Katie Vick story. Like, it was an accident, but he like freaking
corpse porking.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like, it's not a babyface story, man. He doesn't come off as the hero in this, but
right.
Anyway, he says that he hasn't seen this woman in 7 years, and he doesn't know what she wants, and all he knows is this last week has been a living hell thanks to Lesnar and Heyman. But the hell he's been through is nothing compared to the hell he's going to put them through at Hell in the Cell on Sunday. Give me a hell yeah. He does not say that. But
I do like that he said he's going to put both of them through Hell in the Cell because, yeah, it's what's to come. Okay. Anyway, it's just neat.
It is. And I mean, I'll tell you what, dude. He's doing his best with this stuff. His delivery is strong here. His performance as well. His material is garbage. But Undertaker's doing what he can with it. Well, Brock, Paul, and Tracy, they're here tonight. They storm through the arena, and she's ranting and raving, saying, I can't believe he said I was in his past. We're going to go talk to Stephanie McMahon tonight. So they barge in there. Stephanie's doing some paperwork in their office, and Heyman and his crew barge in. Tracy says, Undertaker's a liar. They slept together 10 days ago. And
10 days late? Reminds me of Third Eye Blind, 10 days late. Anyway, go ahead.
Stephanie's not really believing her. She tells her to leave. She does not need to be there in the arena tonight. And she walks away. Paul's trying to butter up Stephanie, talking to her about her future, the future of SmackDown, and how Brock Lesnar and Matt Hardy, they're the real future of SmackDown. And Undertaker and his cast, they're the past of SmackDown. And Stephanie, this is not in the best interest of SmackDown's future for Undertaker to be in the Hell in a Cell with this weapon, with this cast on his hand. And Stephanie's just listening to him, says, all right, I'll take your request under consideration tonight, and I'll make a decision about it later. But tonight, Brock Lesnar can go take out some of his pent-out aggression on Chuck Palumbo. It's a dream match for you there. Lesnar Palumbo.
Dude, you and I were such big Chuck Palumbo fans in WCW, but at this point, he's just gone from ambiguously gay duo to just cool straight guy.
Yeah. In quotations.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm straight, guy. Yeah. This whole 3 weeks of Billy and Chuck, they're wearing their wife beaters. They still got their bleach blonde hair, but they've got their beards growing out. They're doing bikini contests with the ladies, but they still have the you look.
I think this is the night it changes. I think this match it changes.
It's so weird, man.
It is strange. Very strange. Good on Chucky P.
Yeah, dude. My screen name for AIM used to be Chuck Palumbo 1.
Absolutely, it was. As
a joke, but I actually really liked him in WCW. I just thought it was funny. Anyway, I did get excited for him. But before we get to that match, Taker, he barges into Stephanie's office next. She can't get any work done here tonight. He calls Tracy a lying word of the month from last month.
Circle back to last month if you don't know what that is.
That's right.
So, ask Meredith Brooks.
In the archives. Taker says he can't believe Stephanie would take this request to take his cast off under consideration. And Stephanie's like, well, you have been using your cast as an offensive weapon. And Taker's like, oh, yeah?
Is that what this is all about? Because this is an offensive weapon? You think the things that I've done have been offensive? Well, let me show you how offensive I can be.
It smashes this lamp and this table in Stephanie's office. And the emotional freight train, dude, is just steamrolling through her office.
Steamrolling through the lamp, dude. He just smashes the lamp with his broken hand. Oh, golly.
It's amazing. Once again, Undertaker's great here, as usual. But Brock and
he knows
Chuck,
how to make chicken salad out of the.
he's trying. He's doing what he
You know
can.
what?
Brock and Chuck Palumbo, they actually have a pretty long, decent match here. And Brock dominates him for most of it, but Chuck gets in a few hope spots. He gets a couple of those jungle kicks that he used to do in WCW and gets a near fall. But Brock picks up the win with the F5, of course, heading into the pay-per-view. And Taker takes a page out of Brock's book and just storms the ring immediately after the match is over. Hits a big boot, starts stomping a mud hole and Lesnar, and uses that cast as an offensive weapon on Lesnar and some other officials, referees run into the ring, and Taker's just screaming in pain every time he uses it, which is logical. And it's hurting him, but he's using it to hurt others as well. And Brock Lesnar's going to get busted open off this to take the blood tracker up to 3 before we've even got to the pay-per-view here. And dude, like I said earlier, if you take out all this garbage with Sarah and Tracy over the past 2 months, this would be one of the best storylines of Undertaker's career, in my opinion. Like, if you ignore all that, all this stuff with Lesnar and Heyman, the storytelling with that, and with the cast, and with the younger generation, the older generation, it's so old school, perfect wrestling storytelling. But because all this other stuff's attached to it, it just drags it down, man. I wish we could edit this stuff off the WWE network.
Yeah. You know what? This storyline without the soap opera stuff is Memphis wrestling stuff.
It is.
Maybe that's why Vince had to add the sports entertainment crap into it, because this is the stuff that Memphis was built off of, and Mid-South and all that stuff was just like this, man. But to tell you what, man, the crowd's into this, because when you're talking about him beating up Lesnar and stuff and bloodying him up, the crowd's just chanting Taker, Taker. Like, but again, it has nothing. They're not chanting Tracy. Or anything. Like, they don't care about the soap opera stuff. Leave it behind. There's a time and a place for it. This was not it.
It was not
necessarily.
Well, it was the time and the place for Matt Hardy to do something cool here. We've talked about this rise of Mattitude, and this is going to be the last time we get to mention him much, really. But just a side note that this is the first night he debuts those iconic Matt facts and that Windows Media Player style entrance that he comes out in. It's one of the best things ever in wrestling, just period. It's so awesome. We loved it back then. It's so innovative and cool. And it's pretty interesting, very first Matt fact historically.
Yes, very first Matt fact is that Matt Hardy has beaten Undertaker 2 straight times. Which
How about that, man?
I love that, man. Like, if you'd asked me that on a trivia question, I would have missed it. So, again, like you said, Undertaker was somehow responsible for Matt Hardy version 1. And King Maxwell and Wolfgang. So.
Yeah, if you go all the way back to it, man. Well, Lesnar and Heyman are going to go backstage, try to make sure Steph, you've got to make Undertaker take that cast off for this match. And Heyman barges into Steph's office. He's trying to sweet talk her at first, and she's like, look, I told you, I'm going to make my decision by the end of the night. And then Heyman just loses it and starts screaming at her.
I told you I will make my decision later tonight, and I will.
That cast has to come off Undertaker's hand before Hell in itself!
Paul, I will make up my mind and let you know my answer.
I want that cast off of his hand!
Leave my office.
They're dragging this out all night long. Stephanie talks to Mark the Mark in her office, trying to find out if she's made up her mind. And she says, yes, I'm going to go make my announcement in the ring. So she goes out to the ring, and she invites Lesnar and Heyman to come out. They do their entrance, and it just goes on and on and on. Stephanie goes through her reasoning, says, on the one hand, Brock Lesnar broke Undertaker's hand to begin with. And so on the other hand, Hell in a Cell is a no-holds-barred match. But Undertaker has been using his cast as an offensive weapon. He used it to bloody Matt Hardy and Brock Lesnar. But I've decided that in the Hell in a Cell match, The Undertaker will be allowed to wear his cast during the match.
Will be. Which, again, this is, according to Michael Cole, this is the whether or not he can wear this cast is, and I quote, the biggest decision Stephanie has had to make as GM. Hyperbole much? What an idiot. What an idiot.
Short-term memory, Cole.
How about getting Undertaker to SmackDown? Was
Or Brock
Lesnar,
the
Brock
undisputed
Lesnar.
champion.
Just, oh my golly. But anyway, that being said, Taker is allowed to have his cast on, so proceed.
Well, Lesnar is not too happy about this, and he goes back into his creeper mode from last week and tries to Me Too Stephanie as he just backs her into the corner, like gets all up on her, smells her neck and her hair. I don't know what he was trying to do. Like, he went from intimidating her to trying to ask her to go to the steakhouse after back up to his room. Something.
Wait, his room's called the steakhouse?
Yeah, it is, man. You seen that guy?
Oh, God.
Keeps it real cold in there.
Move on.
Thankfully, the Undertaker saves her from the meat train, and and a callback to one of our earlier running gags. What does Taz scream when Undertaker comes out? He pulls a Michael Cole and says, "Here comes the cavalry!" as Undertaker runs out.
Oh my goodness! Did he?
Not cavalry. He says, "Here comes the cavalry."
Oh, what a moron!
Well, Brock stops Undertaker and starts stomping on his hand. Heyman is screaming at Taker. Lesnar walks away, but Heyman, he starts to get cocky. Lesnar walks out of the ring, but Heyman walks over to Taker, just starts kicking at him, stomping on him, thinking Undertaker's done. But Undertaker sits up, he stops him, and starts using that cast as an offensive weapon, and ends up busting Paul Heyman open crazily to take the blood checker up to number 4. Fourth time we've seen blood in this build-up, and Taker sends Lesnar flying out over the apron as he tries to save Heyman and continues to beat him down. And Undertaker and Lesnar do a stare-off as Cole guarantees that Undertaker will have no mercy on Sunday at No Mercy. It's a great way to sell the pay-per-view. Man, great final moments to get you to want to spend your money here in 4 days. I'm glad they focused on that and not this stupid affair storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Taker's got cast or blood on his cast, just showing that off as a SmackDown fades away. So yeah, at least, like you said, at least they're focusing on the brutality and the physicality between the two. So really, really good. Again, let's just pretend like Tracy didn't happen, but we're going to see what happens. So I do want to mention here before we actually get to No Mercy, so there's some Sunday Night Heat action going on.
Oh man,
and
again, we haven't talked about that in a while.
I know it's not on the network. I had to find it some Haji copy online on YouTube, but it's basically the 1 hour lead in. So it's Sunday Night Heat on October 20th. 2002, and Heyman's giving a backstage interview talking about the brutality of Hell in a Cell. And again, he sells it like only Heyman can. He talks about how
of course.
Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels and even referee Tim White haven't been the same since they were in one. And then we get a video from that Hell in a Cell back in May between Jericho and Triple H, who referee Tim White for a shoot injured his shoulder, like legit, and he gives a little interview, and I forgot how funny his voice is. It does not fit the body, but he talks about how dangerous it is, and even for referees. So it's life changing for all the participants. Which, suspend your disbelief. It's really neat to see that played up as a realistic thing, And he's like, I pray for the wrestlers involved, which I just thought was a cool touch to add to the realism here.
Absolutely, man. It's like. They haven't done it as much in recent years, but they used to do such a good job of putting over the destructiveness of Hell in a Cell, and that's something like using Tim White, the referee, and being so brutally injured during that. It's unfortunate for Tim White, but it made for great storytelling for this matchup, and you just knew, these guys are going to be changed by this match.
Right. And then there's a little interview with Taker, and he says he's the master of the Hell in a Cell, and it's shortened the careers of HBK and Foley. And he says tonight 2 will enter, only one going to come out alive. And he says, but who wins when that happens? Who wins when even though you walk out, you're still not really a winner. So then we get a little interview with Brock, and he says that he's not nervous, he's excited, he can go in Hell in a Cell, beat Taker in his own backyard because that's Taker's match. And he said, Taker might be the champion of Hell in a Cell, but he's not going to be leaving champion tonight. He's coming in wounded with a broken hand and a cast as well, and Brock's going to take advantage of that. So really neat little stuff. And like I said, we haven't talked about Heat very much, but they're all the players are prominently featured here, so I felt it was pretty necessary to give that final push toward the pay-per-view here.
Definitely, and it worked, man. People wanted to see this match. This is No Mercy 2002, October 20th, from the Alltel Arena in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Not a place you hear too many pay-per-views from.
No, well, in fact, this is the first and last pay-per-view from WWE in Arkansas. So, according to my sources online,
which is weird, man. It's a good show, and the crowd's into it. I don't see why.
I know, crowd isn't. I think they go there for live shows and Raw, SmackDown. But I don't.
It's not quite big enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they had Henry and Phineas back on the show,
I would have. Would have been hanging from the rafters.
Hog pin cell match.
Ooh, I like it. Well, we did not order this one, but as I think I mentioned last week, I believe you gave this one to me on DVD for my birthday in February of 2003, and it's got that cover with Kane's mask on the front of it. I've watched it many, many times. That Unforgiven and No Mercy. I watched those DVDs a lot after you gave them to me. Rewatched them many times, and mainly because of this main event, but also, dude, there's a sick match with Angle, Benoit, and Edge and Mysterio on there. The finals of that SmackDown Tag Team Tournament. Back in the day, watched that one lots of times.
Yeah, haven't since 07, but yeah, that match is phenomenal. And also the opening match of this show was it's Jericho and Christian against Booker Dust or whatever, Dust, and that bottom rope breaks. Remember that? It was
Jericho. He's going for the lion saw and just goes flying out of the ring.
He winds up in the match with a top rope moonsault, which you did not see from Jericho often. You know, when you saw him do this is really neat though. And like I said, that match, and then we got the freaking Katie Vick stuff with Triple H. But yeah, this match is a mixed bag. But this show is a mixed bag. But I really enjoyed it overall, man.
There's some good stuff on here.
Entertaining,
and it's like we mentioned at the top of the show. It's rated TVMA on the network. Has like a extra parental advisory on there before you watch it, which is pretty interesting, man. It just goes to show you how brutal this match we're going to discuss is. But
it's not because of Don Marie and Al Wilson stuff.
It could be because of that too. I didn't think about that.
Totally kidding.
Goodness gracious, man!
But that
storyline is great.
No, that's soap opera. That is what it is. But this pay-per-view has probably the greatest cold open of all time. Just tell us about it.
A rare pay-per-view cold open as Undertaker. He's sitting in the locker room. He's looking at his cast, and his brother Kane comes and sits next to him. They've been on separate shows here for a while now and haven't been interacting with each other much. But like we said earlier, we learned all about Katie Vick the past couple weeks, and Kane just sits down next to Undertaker, reunited at the pay-per-view, turns and looks at him and says,
"So, how was your week?"
Taker just gives him a look and then says, "Live from Little Rock, it's Saturday night." No, wait a minute.
You might as well have, dude. That would have been perfect. This scene was so perfect, though, man. Like, just what a neat little thing. I loved it.
It's so stupid, but it was great. Yeah. I'm okay with it because it's those guys.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly. It's fine. Well, I guess the real open after that with the video, it focuses on, their Bros of Destruction and their respective storylines and, unfortunately the soap opera that goes along with them. But, it is neat to see Kane and Taker both at the, I guess, top of their respective cards, of their shows. So, but Heyman does a voiceover for him and Brock's part. And Heyman is such a good, pitch guy. He could sell ice cream to a snowman. I mean, well, what's an Eskimo? Sorry, not
Or a
snowman.
snowman.
It's
Sure. He's that good. He's that good.
Anyway, but yeah, really, really, really good stuff to open it up there.
Well, you know, we're hyping up that match. They're talking about this stupid storyline in that video. There's like weird sounds of babies crying in the background of the video as they're talking about the pregnant wife of the Undertaker. It's weird. But we're going to get some resolution of sorts to this whole Tracy storyline throughout the show.
Yeah, we got a backstage segment, several of them here. Coach is catching up with Brock and Heyman and Tracy. Actually, he's actually interviewing RVD, and RVD is mocking Ric Flair, given the worst Ric Flair impression he could ever give. RVD is such a bad actor, but I love it. It's
not his strong suit. No.
Loved it. But anyway, then Brock Heyman and Tracy walk by, and Coach, even as a Raw guy, is like, I got to get this scoop. So he goes over there and gets the scoop. Yeah, and they're not going to listen to him. But Tracy's like, you know, I tell you that Taker's a liar and a cheat. And she says, I'm here tonight to watch that scumbag get what he deserves inside Hell in a Cell. So scumbag now is what he is. So she slept with a scumbag 20 days ago or 14 days ago, whatever it was. So later on, Tracy's going to enter Stephanie's office. And Stephanie's like, look, I understand about relationships. I just watched my, ex-husband beat up a necrophiliac. She doesn't say that, but that's what she's getting around to.
That's what she's getting to.
It is right after that match. But anyway, she's like, I understand why you kept these secrets about... It's because you love him. And Tracy's like...
Love him? No, I don't love him. Right? I can't even stand the ground that bastard walks on. Well, even still, you have to care an awful lot about someone to feel that strongly. You know, Stephanie, I was content with just letting all of this go, just going on with my life. And then out of nowhere, I get this call from Paul Heyman. Now, I don't know how he knew about me and Mark, but he knew. So, what you're really trying to tell me is, and this is okay, as far as I'm concerned, is that you did have a relationship with The Undertaker, but it was in the past. And all of this stuff about sleeping with The Undertaker 10 days ago and recently having an affair, I mean, that was all a lie. Paul Heyman put you up to telling all that as a lie, right? Okay, confidentially, between you and I. Yes, it was all a lie. Paul Heyman put me up to it, and once he started rolling with the story, I just went along with it.
Tracy decides to come clean about the whole thing. She's like, okay, confidentially, just between me and you, and the cameraman, and the millions watching on pay-per-view, and the millions who have watched since then, she decides to spill the beans confidentially, woman to woman here, and says that, I did have a relationship with Mark, but it was a long time ago. As far as sleeping with him recently, that was made up by Heyman, and so I just went with it. I just want Mark back. I don't care about his pregnant wife or anything. I just want him back, and I'll do anything to make that happen. And
well, Tracy doesn't watch wrestling. She doesn't understand how this works with the cameraman and the pay-per-view and all that.
That's true. I stand corrected. So she doesn't understand it's a live broadcast,
no.
I guess. Okay. Well, anyway, just then as she's confessing all this stuff, Taker comes in the room and calls Tracy a lying word of the month again, and then looks at Steph and says, thanks, Steph, I owe you one, and walks out, and Stephanie's like, agrees with Taker and tells Tracy to get lost, and they just undid the last 2 weeks of storyline. They injected this drama that Tracy was there and slept with him, blah, 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 all this stuff, and then literally just said, oh, it was all made up for no reason.
Just retconned it.
And that's it. It's gone. It's
never hear from her again.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, it's gone. We're going to see a little bit of resolution to this the night after or the week after this pay-per-view, but, not really. This is it. It's just gone in a night. Why waste our time for 2.5 weeks here?
Because it added nothing. And
exactly.
You know what? I want to get mad about it, but actually I'm just like, well, I'm glad that they just told us to forget about it so we can focus on the match. you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time complaining about them starting it in the first place, because at least they realized it was so stupid we need to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, speaking of getting rid of it, Taker's trying to get rid of this pain because there's this doctor backstage going to give him a shot. He's like, it's not ethical for me to do this. And Taker's like, I don't care. Give it to me anyway, or I'll do it myself. And so our baby face here is taking illegal shots
Yep.
with his hand to get an advantage in the paper in the
Yep.
main event. So,
What a hero.
yeah. And then we'll get to the match in 1 second, but one more last thing is we get a shot of the quiche at which WWF New York has now been rechristened WWE The World.
The World.
Yeah. So now they would probably call it the Universe, wouldn't they?
They would.
If they had a
For
restaurant.
sure they would have.
Well, the quiche is there, and we got video of him being thrown into that cedar truck. At least it wasn't popcorn by Taker back in 2000.
Oh, we wouldn't be talking to him. R.I.P.
Well, exactly. He says that Hell in a Cell is no joke and predicts that Taker's going to win, and says that after this match you're definitely a changed man. So anyway, I guess appreciate a little bit of continuity there.
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
bringing it up. Not letting it go by the
That's
wayside.
another
but,
nice touch, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going to get us up to the match here.
Yeah, I mean, they're hyping it up as a big deal. And once again, we've got 2 world title matches happening on this pay-per-view. And once again, Undertaker gets to be in the main event. So, this shows you how important he is and how big of a match this is. And his place on the card, even over Triple H here. He gets to go on last. We get that, classic long video recap. Every piece of this feud is recapped in this video. We could have just watched that instead of these last 4 episodes of SmackDown, but whatever. I enjoyed it. I was actually watching this tonight, and my wife Kate, she came in and was watching a little bit of it with me, and she was just like, she didn't watch too much of this stuff, but I think it was the first time she really seen this Undertaker with the short hair, and she was like, I kind of miss the old Undertaker. And I was like, yeah, me too. She's like, but I'm kind of like weirdly attracted to this Undertaker.
Tracy.
I don't know how I feel about that. But then it got
man's man.
yeah, he just exudes that.
Yeah.
But then they showed the part where Brock is getting up on Stephanie, and she was just like, nope, I hate this. This is terrible. This is awful. You're not watching this when we have kids. Like, fair enough.
She said, no, you're not watching this when we have kids.
Well, the announcers note that as Brock Lesnar comes out first, that it is his prerogative to enter first after this package. Oddly enough, the champion coming out first into the Hell in a Cell, Cole and Taz on commentary are making sure we know that it's not just random, that he has decided he wants to be in there first when Undertaker comes into the Hell in a Cell, which I think is a cool little touch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's his first time in there. He's entering the cage, and he admires the structure. Kind of looking at it and taking in the just grandiose structure that it is. And Mike Chioda holds up the belt and showing it off, and then Taker comes out next. No motorcycle. I guess that cast is getting in the way.
It's probably tough to drive a motorcycle with a cast on. I can imagine.
I'm sure it is. Dude, Arkansas loves some Big Evil, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
They love this guy. So they were weirdly attracted to him too, just like oh, well. He gets in the ring, and he's not actually doing Brock's time, but he's over there jumping back and forth the same way Brock does, which is kind of funny. But in a weird, strange turn, again, he waits for the bell to ring before they go at it. So even though it's a personal feud, he's that little bit. I don't know. It's weird. He's abiding by the rules here and waiting for the bell to ring before he goes after Brock. So.
I mean, he's been a lot more reserved here with Brock Lesnar the past 2 months. He's not treating him like anybody else, which is really helping to add to the mystique of Lesnar here and putting him over with that. I think that's a conscious decision by Taker here as they kind of circle each other as the match begins, sort of feels kind of like a UFC fight. They're just waiting to go after each other, and Brock Lesnar strikes first. He gets a takedown on Undertaker, grabs a waist lock, and they get back up, and Brock tries to hold on to it, but Taker kind of fights out of it a little bit, but Brock's able to hit this big power slam, and sort of like The Undertaker we've seen do many times, Brock's going to go for a quick cover to go for a 2 count to try to win the match quickly.
Yeah, he does. Must have been brushing up on his Undertaker
That's right.
matches in history. So watching him on that VHS backstage with Heyman. So yeah, he goes for a 2 count or goes for a 3 count. I guess he gets a 2 count. No one goes for a 2 count.
No, you're right. You're right.
I'm trying to get 2 count here real quick. No, but yeah, and then good, like I said, good on him. And then he starts shouldering the midsection of Taker like only Brock can. I mean, just he's so good at that, like that move in the corner. And then Taker hits Brock in the gut with the cast, and I think it's Heyman is like the cast. No, not this way. He's already selling the cast as a lethal weapon here.
Dude, we're going to talk about this as we go on, but Paul Heyman was the MVP of this match, in my opinion.
He's like Bear used to be.
Incredible during this match. He has turned up to... This is maybe his best performance ever outside the ring. Possibly.
It's, I'd say this, and then WrestleMania 30 when Brock wins. When Brock beats Taker. Yeah, those are 2 of my favorite things of his ever. So, awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. So he uses that cast that, they didn't want to be in this match, and Brock drops out of the ring, and he's going for the door. He's like, he's just ticked. 1 cast shot. He's like, I'm getting me out of here. Yeah, he's done. So Taker's chasing him down now, and Heyman is just flapping his gums on the outside, just going at him. And back in the ring, Brock is hammering Taker, and it starts hitting down that cast and punching it and kicking it. And Cole reminds us that the hand was broken twice in the past 2 weeks. So I guess they did get the X-rays back the second week, and now he's had his hand broken twice.
And Undertaker screaming in the ring. As Taz notes, like, we don't hear Undertaker scream like that. He is yelling every time Brock hits that cast. And, I mean, we kind of did when he was a heel. He would sell a little bit like that a lot more, but definitely not in this role have we ever heard him just be in agony like that. So, it really does feel different what's going on here in this match. And they're putting over not only the pain that he's in, but like you said, they're putting over that cast as something big too, which is so great. Like, he could be Bob Orton in there with this cast. It's kind of a joke, but Undertaker has turned it into this deadly weapon here.
He has. It's strange, man. But Taker's, like I said, screaming in agony, and Brock's going for an armbar, and Taker gets out, and I think he got out because of that injection earlier.
Dude,
from that doctor.
It should not be allowed, man.
Got the super soldier serum backstage. So, and then Taz says, "Oh man," Taz is like, "That cast got to weigh 5 pounds."
Taz has never seen a cast before.
Not even this cast is made out of like paper. This is the 5 pounds. Oh, it's not a 5 pound cast. I'm sorry, man.
Stop it.
Anyway.
Well, it does. Maybe it is because Undertaker hits just 1 shot to Brock with the cast, and it sends Brock to his knees. Man, he goes down. Heyman is just continuing to scream on the outside. Just this is the worst thing he's ever seen is happening, and Taker is selling the pain every time he uses that cast. But Brock busts him open here as the blood tracker would take it up to 5. That the cast has busted that cut from the other SmackDown open, and Undertaker's going to start working that cut over. He's going to bang that cast into his head, and really it's the most we've seen Brock sell here ever.
Yes.
He's just been so dominant over the past few months, and he's had moments in some of these matches where he's down and gets hit, but nothing like this where he's bleeding and just stumbling and can't do anything.
And Taker's going to take it to a whole new level too. He's going to just throw Brock like a lawn dart into almost, I don't know if it's quite all 4 sides of the cell, but he makes it to at least 3 sides, pushing his face against the mesh, cheese grating it on the mesh on the outside, and even Michael Cole literally says cheese grater, and so talking about how it's ripping his flesh and stuff. But then Taker goes for a cover on the outside, and this is one thing that bugs me about Hell in a Cell. Depending on the narrative they want to tell, sometimes it's false count anywhere, sometimes it's pin in the ring. So this time was apparently false count anywhere, which, spoiler alert, doesn't even matter at the end of the match. So, but the one thing Taz and Cole do say is like, how brutal this is getting. They're like, maybe this isn't a good idea for the future of SmackDown because you got your 2 top stars here beating the crap out of each other, man. Which is really cool. I guess, take on the outlook here of this match.
That's what Heyman was trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's tough when you're in there with the emotional freight train, the Undertaker,
Exactly.
steamrolling through there. I don't know why that never caught onto a T-shirt.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, that emotional freight train is running over Brock, man. Like you said, they even say in commentary, no one's ever manhandled Brock like this. So
The emotional freight train.
let's make one. We'll make one.
All right.
I'll get a picture.
Go along with the Ho Train shirt.
Yeah.
Two characters you did not see on Thomas the Tank Engine.
The emotional. You might see them on the Firefly Funhouse, though.
Maybe. Well, Taker is loving having this cast on his arm because he like holds it up to the crowd, gets a big pop from the crowd as he just lays in a shot on Lesnar. He pulls Lesnar out halfway across the apron and does that, signature leg drop that he does on people. And then he goes for this really strange move. This Brock's halfway out across the apron. Undertaker goes up to the top rope, and I think he was going to go for a leg drop off the top rope onto Lesnar. I think that's what was going through his head. And then he got up there and was like, whew, I think I might pull a Sid Vicious if I do something like that and like break my leg landing down there.
Yeah.
And so instead, I don't even know how to describe this. He like just kind of flops in midair, sort of hits a knee drop on Lesnar, but it just looks like he just tumbles and switches plans halfway off the top rope. I have no idea.
Right. And, it wasn't pretty, but it's impressive to see a guy Taker's size and a guy who doesn't need to do that in this match. He didn't need to do that in this match. But he's going to go above and beyond for this Brock Lesnar guy in this match and to really put this guy over. And so, seeing him do it was neat. And, it was sloppy, but it was just cool that he even went to those reaches, I guess, to even attempt that. So I liked it. And then Heyman reaches his hand in the cell and he's trying to, grab at Taker. It's really cartoonish. But then Taker just turns around and boots him right in the face. It's awesome. I love it.
And that's going to bust Paul Heyman open to take the blood tracker up to 6 times now, I believe we've seen some blood. And, dude, it's a gusher on Heyman, too. Lesnar was bleeding a lot. Heyman's bleeding a lot here. And that's to another level when you see the manager, the guy outside of the Hell in a Cell, is injured in a Hell in a Cell match. That's taking it to another level of danger that we're seeing here, putting over just the brutality of Hell in a Cell, that Paul Heyman outside the ring would get busted open. And to take it to the next level of awesomeness, Taker just grabs Heyman's tie and like a Looney Tunes cartoon,
Yes.
just like banging Heyman into the cell, trying to bust him open even more. And then Lesnar tries to run and save Heyman, but Undertaker moves and he runs into Heyman and sends Heyman down on his butt again. It's just it's the highlight of the match in my opinion, that whole sequence.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. So much fun. Like you said, Heyman's such a vital part of this match. He really is. He adds so much to it. He doesn't take away. He really adds to it. And after all that silliness and fun, Taker rushes Brock and he ducks and pancakes Taker against the mesh, and then and hits Taker's back on the ring post, and hits his back on the cell. And then both of them kind of do a double down. They're kind of selling just the fight they've been in, and then Heyman takes his belt off and passes it through the cell to Brock. So again, talking about adding to the match. Well, Taker wraps it around Taker's cast and then gives the other end of it to Heyman. And Heyman's like holding it like a noose almost, like Heyman's holding it on the outside. And so Taker's arm is up almost like in a belt noose. And then Brock is just ripping at that cast, trying to take it off. And is it Heyman? Yeah, Heyman goes, "You're gonna die now."
It's so intense, man. And he's bleeding as he's oh my god, it's great. And this spot right here is great too, because Brock gets a chair and starts smashing it over Undertaker's hand repeatedly over and over again, and actually cuts the belt in half as he's smashing it into the hand, which I don't think was supposed to happen, but that's how hard he was hitting him with this chair, that he rips this leather belt in half. And it looks great. The way it's just fantastic storytelling and a great spot.
It really is, man. Taker's screaming bloody murder as his hand is hurting here, and Brock's trying to take that cast off so he can't use it anymore. And then It kind of takes a little bit. It kind of drags for just a second where Brock is trying to get that cast off, and they really can't get it. So Taker just kind of lights up with some punches and flurry punches. The crowd just really comes alive for this little comeback here. And then Brock starts smashing Taker's hand in the cell again, working that cast. Back in the ring, Brock's kicking his hand over and over again, and finally gets the cast off, and then just shreds it like a piece of paper. So in half, just rips it. It's gone. It's of no use at this point anymore. So
yeah, 5 pounds of cast.
5 pounds of cast gone. So.
Well, that's obviously going to leave Undertaker even more vulnerable. His hand broken in 2 places now, and like no cast on it to protect him. He's lost his big weapon here as the story. And they get back in the ring, and Brock continues to just pulverize Undertaker. He tries to wrap his arm around the ropes and try to break it for a 3rd time, I guess, and gets Undertaker up on the top rope. And then Brock gets up on the top rope, and he's like starts swinging from the rafters of the cell, kicking at Undertaker, like something he probably thought of in his head that didn't look as cool as he thought it was going to be, but it's something.
He's the vanilla gorilla, man.
I mean, and then I thought he was going to go for a Hurricane Rana on the top rope. He gets in position for something like that. But maybe Taker talked him out of it or something. I don't know. But Taker gives him a low blow, pushes him off. And then Taker does something.
Face. Gives him a low blow.
Well, come on. He's got a broken hand. He's got to do what he can. I'm okay with it. Taker does like almost like a crab walk elbow. He walks across the top rope with the help of the cell, and then hits a diving elbow onto Brock. It looked really cool. That one did, and he goes for a cover, but it only gets 2 this time.
Now, have we seen a top rope elbow like that from Taker before? Did we see it in that Japanese match we covered with Scott Hall as a tag partner?
He's done it once or twice.
Okay.
But nothing like that where he walks across the rope, like the old school rope walk.
Yeah, like it was really neat, man. It was, again, he did not need to do that at all, but he's pulling out all the stops here just to really put over the I guess the magnitude of what his character has to go to put this giant down, this behemoth Brock Lesnar. So
he's doing a lot of stuff we don't normally see. He does not need to do in this match.
Right. Well, after that, we get Brock hits an apron stunner, which is one of Taker's old moves, and then Taker kind of comes to and boots him off the apron, and Brock hits his back against the cell. And then Heyman just tells Brock, he goes, "Brock, we're losing. And as he says that, Taker does something else that we didn't think he would see, and he runs against the ropes and then delivers a suicide dive through the ropes to Brock Lesnar. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
He kind of... I don't know if he was supposed to miss or Brock was supposed to get out of the way. It's kind of 50-50. And even the announcers were like, don't quite know. Are we supposed to be selling Undertaker's hurt or Brock's hurt?
Right.
And they show the replay, and he doesn't quite get all of it, basically. But Undertaker's going to get up first, and he's going to grab the steps, but Brock's going to get them from Undertaker and end up nailing Taker with the steps and take control here. And that's going to bust Undertaker open. And when I say bust open, I mean cut an artery in his head, hit a vein or something, because he is just literally squirting blood out of his head. He turns around and immediately his entire face and body are red. Like, it's a gusher. One of the biggest blade jobs you will ever see. And maybe the biggest we had seen up to that point.
Well, I think without question, up to this point, it's the worst one we've ever seen. I mean, it's horrifying. I mean, Ric Flair's was kind of bad back at Romania time, but that's because his hair is white.
Yeah, it's nothing on this.
But that has nothing to. That's probably the worst we've seen up until this. This is ridiculous, man. Like, and I just remember being uncomfortable back then, seeing the blood like literally squirt out of his forehead and drop onto the ground. It's bad.
It's to the level of being uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And just, again, this match is not a technical 5-star masterpiece like the tag team title match earlier, but this match means just as much, if not more, because these guys are giving it everything and literally giving their blood, sweat, and tears. Even though that match got like a standing ovation, this match right here deserves one too, because just the sheer brutality and what these guys are doing, and what the Undertaker, what Mark Calloway is doing to get this guy over as the next big thing, as a beast, as a monster, as a slayer.
The storytelling's off the charts.
Unbelievable. Well, they finally get back in the ring, and Taker again, he looks like the Wolfpack Sting. He's just kind of, it's just red. It's just all over. He's nasty, and they start booting each other. And then Brock gets the Arn Anderson spine buster that would make him proud, and covers him for a 2 count, and then is not happy with that, and covers him again like Ric Flair, and gets another 2 count. And his arms and legs are covered in Taker's blood as well, because how can it not be? Yeah.
The ring becomes disgustingly stained with the blood.
Yeah.
Everything is stained with this blood. I don't know how he's still standing and yet still wrestling. Like, I mean, I cut my finger last summer and started gushing blood out of my finger, and it was all I could do to just, not pass out from that. So I can't imagine purposely cutting my forehead to that level and then still being able to continue on with this physical wrestling match. It's insane, man.
It's absolutely insane. I have no idea. Kudos to Undertaker for making it through this. So I have no idea how he did. So they start trading punches in the middle of the ring, and Taker is punching with that broken hand again, and he's smashes Brock's right hand, and we get a shot of Taker bent over, and his blood like drips on the camera, which is a neat visual, but it's nasty.
It's gross. Nasty. Yeah. Can you imagine being that cameraman?
Ooh, no. Be like, ugh, dude.
Somehow Undertaker, he's able to go up for old school, and he gets a real big reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
But Brock tosses him down to the ring, and we do get a camera shot where it's just a close-up on Taker's face, and you just see the blood, like a faucet turned on. Blood is just coming out of his forehead. It's insane. Brock gets Taker up for the F5, but Undertaker counters it into a choke slam, and he gets another close 2 count with the crowd counting along to it. And Taker goes for his old Stinger Splash, hits one, goes for another, but gets a big boot from Brock, and he's gonna go for something fun here. Yeah,
Brock Lesnar's gonna signal for the last ride. He's gonna try to get Undertaker in position for that, and then Taker, backdrops him out of it. Then Irish whip to the ring ropes, running DDT by Taker, gets a 2 count, and he's gonna signal for the last ride to show the big boy how it's done. Taker's gonna barrel him into the corner though, and start shouldering him. And then he's going to go up to start doing the 10 punches. Not a Hurricane Rana, but he's going to do a 10 punch here. He's going to, and you could see what's coming here. We've seen this since WrestleMania 17. If you start 10 punching the Undertaker in the corner, he's going to hit you with a last ride out of the corner. And this is a really neat false finish spot we have here.
Dude, it's really well done, man.
Yeah.
The crowd knows it, because we've seen Undertaker finish a few big matches with that last ride out of the corner, and so they're feeling it. They're feeling the title change, but Lesnar just barely. He's right at the ropes, and he just reaches out his hand to grab the ropes. He doesn't kick out. He doesn't get his shoulder up. He grabs the ropes to get out of it, and that's how you do a rope break, with the heel just barely being able to use the ropes to cheaply get out of the 3 count. Man, that's how it's supposed to be done. We've talked about that a lot on this show.
Yeah, and like you say, he didn't kick his shoulder out either. He just reached out and got it. So
you're like, dang it!
Yeah,
he had him.
Exactly. Taker's the first guy that's had him, at his limit like that. I mean, literally nobody else has. So, really cool false finish there. Taker, at this point, I'm watching this. I just want the match to stop. I want Taker to get a doctor, because I care about the real man. He needs a doctor. Well, Taker's not done. He signals for the tombstone, doing the throat slash, and everyone's excited in Arkansas. Soo-wee! Ready. And but Brock's going to do a reverse by kind of flipping back out of it and getting Taker up for what looks like a tombstone, and then he's just going to show why he's Brock Lesnar. And I'm not.
He turns that tombstone into the F5. He did a lot of this stuff back in the day, getting people in the F5 from really powerlifting positions. It's really impressive to see. Hits that F5, and he shows why he's the beast, man. He beasts all over. Undertaker retains the title here after nearly 30 minutes, 27 minutes and 18 seconds. Very long, very intense, brutal, like unlike anything we've ever seen before here. What a freaking match. The announcers note that these two guys will never be the same after this match. And, you know, Brock storms out of the ring here. He's like not selling anything even as he goes out of the cage and goes over to grab his title. But I was kind of okay with it because Brock is so different than anything we've ever seen before, and they're portraying him like that. So I'm almost okay with the fact that he went through all that and yet is still able to just, you know, almost like he didn't even break a sweat. You know, he's able to just, you know, cockily walk out of there, and it just puts over how much stronger he is and how young and how, like, oh my God, what is the limit for what this guy can do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He takes another legend to the limit and defeats another legend. Taz mentions that, you know, we've gone through all the legends he's defeated, but, you know, Cole says that Taker did indeed make Brock famous tonight, and it just wasn't the way that Taker wanted it to be, but Brock is now famous. And Brock, in a moment of, I don't know if this was supposed to happen or not, or if he just called an audible, but he was going to walk out, and he puts the WWE title around his neck and climbs up the cell in about 1.5 seconds. I have no idea how he made it up there that fast. A stark contrast from Mick Foley back in '98.
Sure. About as stark as you can get.
Yeah. Well, he gets on top of that cell, and he poses looking like he's Godzilla or King Kong, all wrapped into one, just the king of the world. We see Taker laying in blood soaked, you know, just in the middle of the ring, and Brock is just holding the title up there on top of the cell, and it's just a great visual. You got the young champ up there defeating another legend. I love that ending. I love the visual of it. I love the match. What a match. Like I said, all the Hell in the Cells are brutal, except for the one where he hung Boss Man. But all the ones we talked about are brutal in their own right. But this one is the most physical, I think, and the most that Taker's been taken to the limit, you know, that he's been vulnerable in. You know?
Oh, it is. It's something so different because up to this point, it felt like you had to do some crazy, insane spot in every Hell in a Cell match. From the first one, where Shawn falls off the top of it, and then we have Mick going through it, and then we have Rikishi going into the bale of hay and all that sort of stuff.
We have hanging, lynching.
Yeah. And then
and then even back in May, they had the barbed wire 2x4, I think it was, yeah.
And so this one, it changes what Hell in a Cell can be, and it focuses on they never leave the cage, which is one of the rare times ever, even since then, where that has happened. Only a handful of times do they stay in the cage the entire time, and it's just about the physicality of it. There's nobody's going through it. There's no crazy high spot. It's just brutal, and both guys get bloody. And this is, you know, a lot of people get disappointed when Hell in a Cell doesn't have blood anymore, and I understand that, and that part of it is because of this match, because it set that expectation of like, ooh, it's got to be that sort of crazy blood where both guys, or all three guys, even Heyman bleeds, even a guy on the outside gets bloody from it. So, yeah, dude, I still think the first Hell in a Cell is probably the best one, but to me, it's right up there next to it, man, as far as an actual match. It's intense, it's brutal, it's a must-see. It's definitely one of the best that we've ever seen during this Biker Taker run, and
for sure.
I think it eliminates any of the doubt that anybody had about whether Undertaker wanted to put Brock over, because he 100% puts him over in a huge way.
Absolutely. Like I said, pulling out all those stops, those crazy moves, suicide dives, top ropes, crap, just to put this guy over as a beast, you know, and letting him, you know, just beat him. He just beats him clean in the middle of the ring, you know. It's awesome. It's great, you know. Forget what all the smarks were saying back then or the dirt sheets. I don't care, man. This match probably more so than the Hogan match or the Rock match. Just put Brock. This made him something else, man. Like he wouldn't have gotten there if he hadn't beaten Hogan, he hadn't beaten Rock. But like this match really puts over just how big of a beast he can be. You know,
it does.
I think.
Yeah, it's a huge win. We've done 92 episodes, and we've seen Undertaker lose very few times, and so every time someone beats him, it matters. It matters in a huge way here, and one of Undertaker's signature matches. So we are looking forward to hearing what you guys think about it. That's what we thought about it, but we always want to hear from you. So you know where to reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We want to hear your opinions of it, and we did get a few of you guys sharing that with us this week. So let me pull that up here.
Perhaps Brock should have just hid popcorn on bags underneath the ring and then got in there and found him with the popcorn, pinned him 1, 2, 3 from the beginning of the match.
It would have done the trick.
Saved some blood.
God, if only he'd have thought through that.
Yeah.
Our boys at the Downturn podcast, at DownTurnThe on Twitter, said probably the most underrated cell match ever, which I believe you said as well, Travis, at the beginning of the show. It kind of gets overlooked and forgotten about because it doesn't have those big spots.
Right. Shout out to them too. They were on JR's first episode of Grill and JR.
Really?
Yeah, they got a question in there, so good for them.
Almost as good as being on this one. At Paranormal X4 on Twitter said, great match, one of my favorites, but so much blood. I would say this was the third bloodiest match in WWE history, and I asked him, and he said Eddie versus JBL from Judgment Day 2004 is probably number one, which that one is, again, uncomfortable to watch. Mm-hmm. And then Cena and JBL from Judgment Day 05, where Cena gets a tremendous Crimson Mask on there. I would throw in also, people forget about this, but Vince versus Zach Gowen of Vengeance 03. Vince, hard way, the chair cuts him on the side of his head. And it's also just like this. You see it just dripping like a faucet out of his head. It's nasty.
Yeah, it's nasty. But yeah, this is definitely one of the bloodiest encounters you're going to come across on WWE television. So, no, this was just an average Sunday afternoon show in Memphis.
And then Randy Turco was not at this show, but he said it was one of the best Hell in a Cells ever. Really showcased the brutality of two men with a grudge being confined together, which was the original intent of the concept, as opposed to the insane spot fest it had evolved into. Which, absolutely right. Hit the nail on the head there, Turco.
Hit the nose on the head.
Hit the nose on the nail on the head.
Hit the plane in the nose on the end's face, or whatever.
Well, I remember showing this match to people like back when we were in college. I had the DVD of it, and I was living in this apartment, and I don't think you were there, but there was some people over there, and I just had it on in the background, and some people that were not even really wrestling fans, they like stopped and like had to watch this match because of the story and the blood. It grossed them out, but they had to see what was going on. It was captured their imagination as they were watching it, and it's that kind of match. But I've always remembered that that match sucked them in to watching wrestling there for at least a moment. Yeah,
well, it definitely has that capability because of just the spectacle of it all. So the tableau.
Oh, I will. Well,
I'd like to send a shout out to our girl Lou Jane.
Okay.
I'll butcher her last name, but Taker was overseas at UK, and she got to meet him. And so, Lou Jane, if you're listening, we want to hear, if you don't mind, give us some specifics. How was your interaction with him? What was like? I saw some pictures on her Twitter, I think, and Facebook, where she got to meet him, and over at that Inside the Ropes, I think it was. I think that was the thing where he was on there, supposed to do a Q&A, but then Mick Foley took his place or whatever because WWE stepped in. But anyway, I saw pictures with her, so if you want to let us know how your interaction was with him, we'd like to know. So, really cool that our fans get to meet him face to face, because that's a very rare thing. So
it is, and one of our other fans, Jeremy Bagley, is going to be doing it soon, and I know he's going to give us first-hand report of it as well, allegedly in his Talking Taker t-shirt. We can't wait to see it, my man.
Emotional freight train fanny pack coming your way. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll
We got
see.
some cool stuff, though. We do have cool stuff.
Well, like we said, we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Talking Taker. We want to connect with you guys as we keep rolling onto the last ride. We got a fun one coming next week, as Undertaker's going to go on paternity leave here, I guess, for a little while and take some time off TV before returning at Royal Rumble 2003. We're going to do a little time jump here with no pay-per-view matches for a couple months and come back with one of our patented watch-alongs for that Rumble as he makes a big return and continues this rivalry with Brock Lesnar in a different way. So that'll be a fun one to talk about next week. Not too much build up to it, so we'll get right into that watch along next week. We'll queue it up, and you can join us as we provide our alternate commentary on the match. We always enjoy doing that. And kick off the final year of Undertaker as the Biker Taker. Final few matches before he returns to the Dead Man. It's so short-lived, man. I want to keep it going.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be neat to see how this era fizzles out, and not fizzles out, but kind of gets put to rest, and how the new the Dead Man resurges, comes back to life, I guess you could say. But yeah, looking forward to the Royal Rumble next week. Haven't seen that match in a long time, so it's gonna be fun. We'll watch along there.
Be fun to revisit it and talk about all the randos in there.
Yeah.
We did have a poll on our Twitter that I wanted to mention. Last week we talked about the debut of the Dead Man Walking theme with the lyrics, and I know you and I, not the biggest fans of that song with the lyrics added on there. So we put a poll out on Twitter asking you guys if you preferred it with lyrics or without lyrics. You "You've done it now, gonna made a big mistake." Well, maybe we made a big mistake, man, because 60% of our fans say they prefer it with lyrics over the 40% instrumental.
We'll have to make a recount. Sorry, I was just kidding. It's okay. It's okay. Well, maybe we're wrong. We're in the minority. We also were, as far as we didn't really care for this Biker Taker era either. And a lot of people couldn't wait for us to get to this era. So yeah, we have. We sure have. So maybe I'll come around these lyrics. I doubt it, but maybe we will.
I think it's because we need more Twitter followers. So we're hovering right around 1,800 right now. So I want to throw this challenge down, Creatures of the Night. If we can get up to 2,000 by our 100th episode, so that's about 8 weeks away now. So that's 8 weeks for us to get 200 Twitter followers, get up to 2,000. I think you and I, Travis, will throw out a bonus show after episode 100 if we can get up to 2,000 followers. Maybe, speaking of Royal Rumble, we could maybe go back and revisit one of those Royal Rumbles we didn't hit at the beginning of the show when we weren't covering them yet. Maybe the 91, 92, or 93 Rumble. We can do a quick watch along for one of those if we can get our Twitter numbers up to over 2,000.
Sounds good to me, man. I'm up for it. Let's see what we can do.
All right.
Let's do it to it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you were there at Arkansas this night, what happened? Because WWE never came back. I thought it was a great show. I don't know why they never came back, but anyway, if you were there, let us know. Let us know how you feel about this. Seeing the blood, did you get the blood on you? Was it everywhere? I hope it wasn't on you, but anyway, anyway, I'm rambling on here, but we're going to take the rambling rabbit and put him out of his misery and say, take her easy.
Trick or treat, if you smell what the rock is cooking.
Beat it, jabroni.
Candy for Olympic hero?
Nothing for you. It's true. It's true. Trick or treat, brother. Take a hike.
Halloween is Jericho. Dead man walk.
Yeah, you dig it, sucker?
You're the sucker.
Heartbeat. WWE No Mercy. Live Sunday, October 20th on pay-per-view.
Looks like the trick's on you, Pete.